My video for April the 24th, 2018 is entitled Balancing Positive and Negative Energy. Wow. I wrote that title for this video early on in a meeting last night. It was going overtime and I was really struggling. It was especially challenging for me since I also was supposed to take two people home from the meeting, each with a load of materials, meaning I would have to make two separate trips. Finally, I blurted out my feelings, and others volunteered to take my friends home, allowing me to leave and head home. After 3 to 4 hours of sleep, I awakened from a dream in which I was facing off with a cobra in a striking pose. I could not get back to sleep after tossing and turning for over an hour. Since I have a busier than normal day ahead, I feel even more stressed. Now, how does one get through such things? Yes, I know they pass. Everything does. The problem is, I've been struggling with a lot of issues lately, and I have close friends that are also being greatly challenged. I won't go into their issues, but it does seem that my emotional load has gotten heavier. I do not practice spiritual denial as so many seem to do. I try to balance the energies in order to reach some kind of equilibrium. Many of us face similar things. I'm sure it would be so nice to find some peace. I'm not reading that correctly. Many of us face similar things, I'm sure. It would be so nice to find some peace and be able to rest. And I noticed a mistake that I made. I've got to correct it because it's a correctly spelled word, but it's the wrong word. Anyway, folks, it's just between 3:30 and 4 a.m. in the morning. And while I normally do get up, often between 4 and 4:30 a.m., this is much earlier than I've already been awake for well over an hour now. And I cannot shake this cobra looking at me, because cobras in a dream would be very significant. It can mean many things. I did look up some of the things before I started this video, and it can be a sign of, actually a sign of love or of a sexual relationship of some sort, which I find preposterous in my personal situation. I don't have any idea of anybody that I could enter into such a thing with. But the cobra is also a very poisonous snake, and it was up like this, you know, like it was ready to strike. And I'm pulling, when I'm waking up now, I'm pulling the blankets up over me and you know, trying to shield myself from the cobra, and I'm still halfway between being asleep and being awake. And of course, as I fully awakened, I realized it was just a dream and there was no threat. But I tossed from one side to the other and back again and back and forth, trying to fall back to sleep, but I couldn't shake this thing. And as I said, there's a lot of challenge going on, not just for me, I think, but for many of us. We are in a time of great transition here on planet Earth. And so many things that we've taken for granted are being exposed, or when I say taken for granted, that we didn't know about. So many things are being exposed. A whole bunch of the lies that we've been told are being revealed to us. There's a lot of things that are unfolding and going on in the human family on this planet at this time. And so it would be expected, I guess, that we would find our individual lives facing some level of turmoil and uncertainty because we don't know how it's going to play out. It hasn't happened yet. I've been, of course, along with many others, wanting to see a political change. People say, well, politics and religion, you can't touch those subjects. Well, those are the two subjects that have the most to do with our lives. And if we don't deal with those, we'll never fix anything. We can't, this idea of putting our heads in the sand and only focusing on positive stuff may sound like a good idea. But as I've said in other videos recently even, you can't simply walk away from the negative. You can't just put your head in the sand and make things go away. It doesn't work that way. The negative things are there for us to pay attention to. And believe me, I'm going to be probably pondering that cobra in my dream because I don't remember anything like that. It probably never, but if it has happened in the past, it's been erased from my memory, and it's not something that jumps out at me. Say, oh, that's like this. No, it's not like anything I've ever experienced before. It's a very new experience to have a cobra doing this, facing right at me. And of course, it wasn't really there. It was a dream. But what are dreams? That's a question that I pondered as I was tossing and turning. What are dreams? What's the significance of them? What's the meaning of the message in the dream? There was another part of the dream just before the cobra where I don't know if I should say this, but there was a lady getting out of her car, and she was bending over and exposing her breasts as she bent over in a low cut thing. And I don't know what that has to do with the cobra or anything, but it did precede in the dream. That preceded the cobra. So the two were synchronistic. There was some synchronicity between the two images in the dream, both of which are not real. And I don't know what either of them means, but it certainly got the wheels turning. I would like to see me and all of humanity uplifted and delivered from the conundrum that we've been in for so long, where people that seem to have a very diabolical agenda claim rulership, leadership. And I know this is something that I keep talking about, but it's something we have to deal with. Why can't we have leadership that uplifts us instead of trying to eliminate us? When I came to the computer here, I have another man from Africa running an orphanage and needing money. And I had already told him that, I don't have money to help. He's needing, several $1,000s for this part of a project. And I don't know where they get the idea that if we're in America, somehow we're rich when we live on Social Security and on a limited income, and we have to be able to take care of our own needs first before we can help others. Now, I did send some money to another orphanage in the same country in Africa. And so because I sent that, another one sent me a friend request, and I thought, well, it's a decent person, and the first thing they want is they want money. And I know this goes on, and I'm not the only one that faces these things, but how do you balance all of this stuff? How do you come to terms with it and find an equilibrium where you can live in peace and you can, some level of rest? I mean, it doesn't seem like I'm even able to get the amount of sleep that I need to get, even though I know how important that is. Anyway, folks, thank you for listening. And I don't know what the response is going to be, but I thank those of you that take time to respond to this video. Namaste.